Tonight, oil companies putting in their final bids for millions of acres of water just miles off the Gulf Coast to drill and extract more oil as Americans face skyrocketing gas prices.
All of this area here is what we're talking about leasing. 80 million acres, 100,000 square miles.
Have we seen an auction of this size before?
Never. This is the largest offshore oil lease ever in the U.S. history.
That auction happening this week in New Orleans.
We in the oil and gas industry feel that the lease sale is vital for the future of the energy industry in the United States.
But this coming after then candidate Joe Biden promised on the campaign trail in 2020.
No more drilling on federal lands, no more drilling, including offshore.
President Biden did just that. 8 days after moving into the White House, signing an executive order, putting a pause on all new oil and gas leases offshore. But this summer, a federal court overruled him, opening the door to this week's mega auction. The government says there are potentially 48 billion barrels of recoverable oil in the federal waters of the Gulf of Mexico.
And what color are we talking about that's up for grabs on Wednesday?
All the white area is up for grab. It's massive.
Gas prices have steadily risen despite Democrats' efforts to increasingly move towards renewable energy sources. President Biden just this last month acknowledging the need for more oil to be supplied right now to the U.S.
On the surface, it seems like an irony, but the truth of the matter is you've all known, everyone knows, that the idea we're going to be able to move to renewable energy overnight is just not rational.
While Biden promotes more green energy, he's also pushing OPEC, the international cartel of 13 oil-producing countries, to pump more. That would help bring prices down. But officials from OPEC not budging. America's crude oil production, while lower than its pre-pandemic peak, is still higher than any other time in the last century. About 15% of the U.S.'s total domestic oil production comes from offshore drilling in the Gulf. But these projects will not solve today's demands.
It's not going to have any effect at the gas pump for a long, long period of time. It'll be 5 to 10 years before any of that shows up on shore at the gas pump.
And many in the region angry about what they've already left behind.
Multiple administrations have failed to hold the companies accountable.
Retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore oversaw the U.S. military's Hurricane Katrina response. Now retired, he started a new mission, his so-called Green Army, in his home state.
It has happened for decades. We've treated the Gulf like a cesspool. Go out, get the oil, leave our mess.
Here in the Gulf, ecological threats. 18,000 miles of old, neglected pipelines remain under these waters.
Why right now? We've already had oil disasters in the Gulf of Mexico. People remember the BP spill.
And smaller oil leaks and spills still a weekly occurrence in U.S. waters. These aerial images showing the oil slicks this September after Hurricane Ida. The government reporting 39 oil spills in the 10 days after the storm.
We are mindful of that responsibility, and we take it upon ourselves to continue to fix that problem. It's not a one-day fix. It's going to take a while.
For now, the drilling will continue as America wrestles with its energy future.
I'm hoping that we make enough progress with the efforts on climate change and reducing the amount of pollution that none of them will be drilled.
All right, Vaughn Hillyard joins us now live from New Orleans. Vaughn, let's start right there where General Honore just finished. He said that he hopes that none of these potential leases are ever actually drilled on, but how likely is that?
Exactly, Tom. That is the question here, because when you're talking about these new development sites offshore, you're talking about projects that are 5 to 10 years out. And when you look at where the oil market is going, there's much skepticism whether it's even worth the investment to build offshore. The cost to build offshore compared to on land is sizable. And that is why, even tomorrow, we should not expect all 80 million of those acres to be bought up by these oil companies, because there is much skepticism about whether the market will hold for these oil companies out offshore here. And one other note, when you're looking here at these waters here, you've also got to take into account this may be the last time ever that oil companies are able to even bid. Because the Biden administration is appealing that judge's order, the hope of many is that future leases will never be available out in the Gulf again. Tom?
All right, Vaughn Hillyard with a very comprehensive look at some of the oil issues affecting the Biden administration right now. Vaughn, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.